how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. Thank you for joining me today and talking about your team at the University of Colorado.
Yeah, of course. Happy to be here.
So why don't you start by giving us a little bit about your background and how you found yourself at the University of Colorado?
I was actually back on the team from 2012 to 2016. I served my senior year as captain. And then come 2019, I was offered to be the assistant coach for the program, which was super cool because I had the opportunity to come back to my alma mater and work with girls that I actually had known about and had worked with in the past. And then after that 2019 year, moving into 2020, I was offered the head coach position. So now I'm going into my fourth season as head coach and fifth season as being with the program. And that's including COVID. And granted, with our COVID year, it was a little dicey, but I still count it because we still worked hard and we still competed virtually. So yeah.
So when did you start competing?
As a program or
Mhm.
as a program, oh gosh, back in early 2000s.
Oh, okay. So it's well established in the UDA.
Yes. So when they
Yeah.
had actually first kind of created the POM category, Colorado was one of the first teams to go in and compete. And we got, I think it was third in like 2005. So right when they opened up the category, Colorado was there. We're like, all right, POM is our thing. Here we go. And it's been crazy to see it just completely evolve over the last few years and how it's become not even only about dance, but the athleticism behind it.
Right.
So it's super cool to see.
I know you've got two different dance teams at the University of Colorado. Can you explain the difference between the athletic team-based University of Colorado dance team versus the Golden Buffs? Is that what they're called?
Buff Gold.
Buff Gold, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So it can get a little confusing, and I apologize for that because I think on our end, we could probably do a better job just defining the two. So my team, the University of Colorado dance team, or abbreviated CUDT, we are the official dance team for the university. We are under the umbrella of athletics. We are the ones that you see on the field for football, basketball, volleyball, soccer. We compete at UDA Nationals in January, and we have all the ability to travel with the teams outside to away games as well. Our Buff Gold team, that is our club dance team, and it's much less of a commitment, and they compete at NDA, which I believe is in April, and they are not affiliated with athletics. They will cover some of our club sports teams and be at those events. I know they go to hockey games and they'll cheer at those. So any sport that is not officially under the athletic umbrella, Buff Gold will usually go and handle those games. So again, it does get a little confusing because you're like, what dance team am I looking at? But majority of the time, if it's a community appearance that revolves around athletics, that's going to be us.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I think that helps for people to know that a lot of the larger universities often have multiple teams that serve different purposes.
And it's great too, because I always tell dancers, if they don't make my team their first year, second year, go on to Buff Gold. It's a great way to still be involved on campus, to keep up your training, and to really just continue to elevate and build your skill set to then try out another year for my team. Because I've had that a few times where kids have come from Buff Gold and they've made the transfer over to my team. So it's always a great opportunity for dancers if they want to still attend the university and keep up their dance training.
How has the program changed and evolved since you've taken over the team?
So I would say the program has definitely become a lot more competitive. I'm looking for dancers that not only want to be dancing on the sidelines at games, but that are going to be investing their time into training with me, training outside the studio, and really just being that well-rounded dancer, but also highly competitive. We are also a recruitment-based only team. So I went to the recruitment style about 2 years ago. So we no longer hold auditions. We are strictly, we'll hold prospect camps, seniors, their senior year, or if people are already in college and they're looking to be a part of the dance team, they'll submit videos that we go through, and then there's a vigorous interviewing process, going and calling references. So, it's a lot more work on my end and my team's end, but it yields a greater product for kids to come to the University of Colorado and dance for me. And then I'm really, the last few years, have seen a lot of growth for dancers and being recognized under the umbrella athletics and getting a lot more access and perks and benefits within the department that a lot of other teams throughout the country don't have access to. So we have access to our feeling hub, to our trainers, our doctors, our PHP, which is our psychological health and performance department. And our dancers have access to that, a Core Power sponsorship, a Nike sponsorship. So they are being recognized more and more as athletes and no longer just as dancers. So that's been amazing to see that growth as well.
Yeah, I think that's a growing trend, is to really recognize the dance team for the time and commitment and athleticism that's required to keep up what typically becomes almost a full year activity.
Yeah, for sure.
So tell me what's special about dancing for the University of Colorado dance team.
Gosh, well, anyone that attends the University of Colorado, once you graduate or even while you're in school, there's just like this understanding when you come across someone, you see them wearing a buffalo jacket or a hat and you just say, "Sco Buffs." There's this mutual understanding between the two of you of like, okay, like we're partners, we're in this together. We have such a strong alumni association that people just love the Buffs. And even though the last few years in athletics, some of our teams might not have been doing as well and as accelerated as we'd wished and hoped for, people were still showing up to the games. Our students were still showing up to the games. They were still putting their heart and soul and investing their time into Colorado because there's just this deep love that our fans and our alumni really, really have for the university. Some other like perks and benefits that we get as a team is we get to travel to all the away games with football and basketball, which is a great opportunity it's a great opportunity for these college students who, might not be able to travel as easily as, being able to hop on a charter flight with the football team and going to Arizona and then coming back to Colorado within 24 hours. So it's bringing a lot of cool opportunities for them to not only expand their reach in Colorado, but in other states throughout the nation. Another benefit that we get specifically on the CU dance team is it's called an Alston Scholarship. And we're the only spirit team in the Pac-12 that has this, which is super cool. And dancers have the ability, or cheerleaders or mascots, to earn up to $1,000 a semester by attending leadership workshops, which is super cool because all they have to do is they have to show up. It makes them better at the end of the day to be better leaders in the classroom and on campus and on my team. And then they can, get some funding from it. And then we also have a donor for the Spirit program specifically, and seniors every year, they get a chunk of money sent towards their schooling. So it can go towards their books, it can go towards their housing, whatever they want to go towards. That is another cool bonus for us as well.
So let's talk a little bit about kind of the process for dancers that might be interested in dancing for your team. I think one of the things is just giving them an understanding of what you're looking for when you're starting your recruiting process. What's the type of dancer that's going to be a good fit for your team?
Yeah, so throughout the recruiting process, I always tell prospects relationships are key. And I really value my relationships with my dancers because I think the more that they can trust me, the more that I can trust them, we're going to work like harder for one another. So I'm looking for dancers that are first coachable, right? You want a dancer that is going to kind of drop their ego. That's going to be like, okay, I'm in this for the team. It's not just an individual sport. And someone that's going to take that feedback to heart and really apply it. Someone that's adaptable. So within the field of what we do, every day is different. Every game is different. You have to be constantly on your toes and anticipating the next move and having that adaptability and not just being comfortable in like a routine of day to day, that's what really helps these kids grow, because it just prepares them for game day, for nationals, for any situation, right? Because you can't really control that much when it comes to dancing on the floor. I mean, you can train, but something might go wrong and you have to learn how to like, okay, how do I adapt and, kind of flip my mindset around for that.
Right.
And then just a growth mindset, a student that is willing to come onto the team and is willing to kind of see like, okay, where do I know I can get better? How can I get there? And how can I use my resources to elevate me to the next level? It's always about learning. And even as a coach, I am telling my dancers, I'm constantly learning, I'm constantly messing up, but I'm willing to admit it when I mess up. Otherwise, if I don't, I'm not setting a good example for them. And I'm not growing as an individual either.
Right.
And then just someone that's going to represent the university with pride, because eyes are always on the dancers, whether they're on the field, in the classroom, in the community, on the stage, they're always representing CU and the dance team. So just someone that I know I can trust, and they take pride and value in who they are and what they represent.
That's great. Can you tell us a little bit more about what the recruitment process looks like briefly?
Yeah, so recruitment process, a lot of dancers will come to prospect camp starting like freshman year, because I always say the more face-to-face time that you can get with the coach, the better, right? Because then I can see you have that connection, and sometimes a video is not going to completely translate a dancer's full range of ability. So seniors though, specifically for seniors that are currently in high school or college students that are looking to transfer or maybe took a few years off from dance, I require their videos to be submitted by December 1st. And in those videos, they have to include a jazz routine, a pom routine, some technical elements, and then any other video they think that would make them stand out. But I'm looking for dancers that already have that foundational technique and that we can build upon it. I'm not looking for dancers where I have to retrain them or keep training them, because that's not the level we're at. So once those videos are submitted, we'll kind of start filtering through like, okay, do they meet our requirements of skills? Do they not? And then we filter down those dancers from there. And then we start to reach out to specific dancers that we're interested in, saying, we'd love to set up a time to interview you. We'll go through all of their references, and I'll call like almost all 3 references just to make sure that the kid is who they say they are, not the young dancer. Because I want to find dancers that are a good fit for me, but I also want to make sure I'm a good fit for them. I never want a dancer coming into a program or into a team that they didn't really know what the culture was like. So I take a lot of pride in doing multiple rounds of interviews, calling references, and really getting to know these kids before I bring them on. So it's kind of like a funneling process of like technique, do they meet what we want, interviews, references, and then seeing them at the prospect camps and seeing them dance in person and seeing kind of like, okay, in this a little bit more high pressure situation, can they hang in there or are they going to crumble? And that's why we have multiple prospect camps, because I know some days you're not going to have a good dance day.
Yeah.
You're not going to have your best showing. So I want to give as many opportunities as I can for these dancers to come back and to be like, no, I'm training, I'm working, this is what I want. So that's kind of the process of the entire recruitment. And I try to have a full team recruited by February, March. And I would say number wise, I started out with probably 100 applicants last year, and I ended up taking 8 onto my team.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I had lost 7 seniors, and then I took 1 extra. So I'm at 23 this year.
Okay. All right. Well, if you find the right team, where I look at it is if the dancer does their homework, look at some videos of the team, understand, where the team is competing and, jazz and pom as you are those your strengths? Let's start with that. And then really start to identify the teams where you have the skill set to match the team. And that will greatly enhance your chances.
So one thing that dancers should know before applying to be on this team or coming to prospect camps is that it's highly competitive and it's a very big time commitment. It's about 30 to 35 hours a week, specifically in the fall. The springs, our schedule lightens up a lot, but it can tend to be a lot if students don't have the proper time management, because those hours are put towards vigorous training in the weight room and training in the studio, multiple games a week that these girls have to cover. They have to do community appearances, team building events, leadership workshops. So it's not just you're coming to practice, you're dancing, and then you're performing. It's a lot of behind the scenes work and a lot of extra commitment that these dancers have. So unless if you feel that you're ready to really dive in completely, really think about your time management. If you really want dance to be your full-time thing, because it's hard to have a social life really outside of dance and school, sometimes for these kids, if they don't know how to properly handle it all. So just knowing what you want your college experience to look like and understanding the commitment before really diving in.
I think that's great advice. Can you think of a special moment in terms of the course of the year and all your activities where your dance team is just like, we really look forward to this moment, to this tradition or this event?
I think it's the first football game of the season.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so exciting and it's so thrilling. And especially for the rookies that come onto the team, they hear like all the veterans talking about how electric it is, and having Ralphie, who was our live buffalo, run down the field, and you were right beside this buffalo, just stampeding down the field, and how just energized that stadium is. That I think that's the moment where all of a sudden it clicks for the dancers and they're like, oh, like we're doing this, we're in this. I think that's the moment that a lot of the kids really look forward to, and is one that's like, for me as a coach as well, that I never forget. Every year, that first football game, it's like, okay, we're in it, let's go.
Yeah, that is exciting. Well, thank you very much for joining me.
Of course, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Have a great day.
Yeah, go Buffs.
Calling you to wake, shouting in my car, stalled outside. It's pure coincidence, I'm sure. Falling from my mouth, secondary doubts. I found myself here, can't seem to look you in the eye. And I hope you can see I'm more than this heap at your feet. Who are you to judge me? Who are you to preach? Control has slipped away from me again. How heavy are these words? Heavier than air that rushes past your face as you drive away from me again. How heavy are my hands? Heavier than blood that rushes to my head as I walk away from here again.
those were the Buffaloes from the University of Colorado.